Hello, good morning, good evening. Welcome along to another match build-up show, as this time Saints are back at St Mary's to play Saturday night football with Manchester United in front of the BT Sport cameras. Now, first of all, my apologies why this episode is late. Now, basically this week has been the busiest week of my life. I've hardly had any time to edit, film, upload and the rest, so this is why it's out on Friday evening. But this week I do manage to squeeze some time to speak to our stateside friend, and we cap a magnificent Movember month with Matt Markstone from the SFC Dellivery.
It doesn't really promise to be a real thriller, I guess. United have shown the tendency to be able to come back from being down from a deficit. We've shown the ability to throw away a lead, so maybe that's in there somewhere. But you just have to hope that we can, like you said, pull something from this EFL Cup match and take it into the weekend.
And we also get the thoughts from our counterparts this weekend from Fan Channel's Perfect Partridge. The United stands send their thoughts over ahead of the weekend.
But actually, most United fans would say we've been pretty poor since January and it's just been a continuation. We weren't that bad last season up until around Christmas time, but then from January, like I say, to now, it's gone over 2 seasons. The summer transfer window was a bit of a waste of time, but generally we don't know our best 11, we don't know our philosophy. The football is drab, and when we win games it tends to be grinding them out like it was against Young Boys.
And as usual then, the episode is available to download in the card above my head if you're watching on YouTube, or available on most audio platforms in the links below. And as a bonus this week, do stay tuned until the end of the episode to find out how you can enter our competition to win one of these limited edition Art of Football canvases of Matthew Tissier striking against Manchester United in 1996 against those infamous grey kits. So find out how you can take part at the end of the show. So let's get on with our episode, and as Saints are playing Manchester United. So welcome along to our first half, then our part of our match build-up show. And what better way to finish our Movember campaign with what is truly a magnificent Mo, joining us all the way from California, Matt Markstone from the SFC Dellivery Podcast. Thanks for coming by, mate.
Oh no, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
First, what I want to say is congratulations on reaching 100 episodes of your podcast. You're almost there at the time of this recording, and I think it really should be sort of highlighted your effort and your dedication, waking up at pretty much sort of 5 a.m. every single morning, and in most cases to be regularly disappointed and let down by Saints, to really start your day in the worst possible ways. And, you know, it's great also that you find out a fan to speak to pretty much every single week. So big congratulations, mate. I
appreciate that, Freddie. And, you've been on the show a number of times. You've been a huge help in getting it started. And I know that early on it was, there's a little bit of nerves and a little bit of hesitancy maybe to reach out to people, but you and the rest of the people in the community have been great. And it wouldn't be possible without everybody else helping and coming on the show. And it's been the best part of watching the team, actually, over the past couple of seasons. It's been just getting to talk with everybody. And sometimes my kids do appreciate when we're on an international break and I'm in a better mood maybe on a Saturday morning, but overall it's been all right.
Well, it is a great episode, and really do keep it up, because I'm sure a lot of us do appreciate it. So, and hopefully this weekend the fixture will be a little bit more kind to you, a little bit more suitable for you. 5:30 kickoff our time, 9:30 your time. That's right.
It'll be. We'll get some stuff done around the house. Probably decorate the Christmas tree beforehand, and then be able to sit down and watch the match. And everybody will be around, so I won't have to watch it, by myself before the sun comes up.
All right. Well, I suppose we better get into our sort of our preview this week. I mean, at the time of recording, I better say this disclaimer: we are recording this on Tuesday night, so before the end of the Leicester game, we're currently recording. At the time, Saints have just kicked off against Leicester, so we'll start off briefly with Fulham and, let's say, fragilities. It almost went entirely to script, and predictable once again. And it seems like Mark Hughes is playing Phil Connors from Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it's like you said, it went exactly how you would have scripted it out. And we've seen it before. We go ahead, we sit back a little bit, and then we get punished. And it was just the individual kind of mistakes defensively were really what cost us in a game where we had over 60% possession, a number of chances created. We weren't clinical enough at one end, and we were just porous at the other end. And I don't know, it is one of those things where you kind of get tired of talking about it each and every week, because it's just, there's nothing new to say. And then you have real questions about people being selected. And then at least tonight, as we see the lineups, that's a heavily changed lineup. Both Hoot and Cedric are out on the bench. So we'll see kind of how their replacements kind of fare, and see if they get some Premier League game time possibly.
Yeah, well, at the weekend, obviously Ryan Bertrand was suspended. He sat out the game at Fulham, but it's also been a lack of leadership, a lack of culpability on the pitch. But Mark Hughes seems to be pointing the blame at anything and everything but himself. And a couple of positives come out from the weekend. Two well taken goals from Armstrong. He's due some credit to actually. He's due some time to run in the first team too, and also. It has to be said, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg finally takes the captaincy, and he retained it on Tuesday night in the Cup.
Yeah, those are, like you said, those are probably the two brightest spots. And I would say kind of our whole midfield looked pretty good. Like Lemina and Højbjerg are really working together much better than they were. Remember, we go back to West Ham last year. They looked terrible together. So that partnership's there. But Højbjerg being the captain, we were talking this weekend on the latest episode of the show where Dan James said, if you watch Højbjerg during games, he is out there directing traffic, even if he's not wearing the armband. And that, to me, that along with the fact that he seems to be the guy that comes in and after a tough loss is in front of the camera and is talking to us, to the fans, to the media and all that stuff, like that's the leadership that I would like to see from the club. And I think if there's any fans out there that are upset by the fact that he's the captain, I haven't heard them. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's also fair to say that we adore his honesty. When he comes out when we've been comprehensively beaten, embarrassed, humiliated, etc., and he comes out and says it straight. And we love seeing him. As you say, Dan said, directing traffic, and I think maybe those qualities are what he picked up playing at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he would have seen some of those players around him that just command that respect, and I think he should start to see himself in that regard now. And hopefully it continues to move forward. I have to think that when Bertrand comes back, he will be given the armband back. But maybe this is as Bertrand moves on or whatever happens, maybe Højbjerg is next in line for that, because I think he's well suited for it.
And I think you could also draw back on the time that Ryan Bertrand, when he inherited the captaincy, as well, Stephen Davis was suspended, injured whilst he was away from the first team. It also seems like a chance for Højbjerg to retain the armband going forward under, what could be an inheritance and under circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he keeps putting himself about the way he's doing and the way he's performing on the pitch, I was actually surprised to see him in the lineup tonight. Figured he might be saved for the weekend, but he's out there and he's doing his thing, and that's what we need. So I'm hoping that he will retain it maybe a little bit, and if not, instead of Bertrand, maybe every time that Bertrand is unavailable for some reason, that it goes directly to Højbjerg instead of somebody like Yoshida. Nothing against him. It's a different kind of leadership out there.
Yeah, and it has to be said that, Stephen Davis and Mayor Yoshida, they're hardly getting a look in. But having said that, Yoshida actually played his time against Fulham and he's back in this side again at Leicester. So perhaps Højbjerg has overtaken him in the pecking order, let's say.
Absolutely. The other thing you pointed out was that Armstrong had a good game, and it's nice to see him back in the lineup tonight as well. I think that coming off playing 2 matches for Scotland and playing well and performing well and just being able to carry that directly over into a Premier League match where he was able to score, I think that now he needs to be kind of given that role. And if we can play a formation that allows him to be in the middle of the park and do what he can do, I think that's going to be great for us and for him.
Yeah, and he scored quite a few goals under Brendan Rodgers, of course, being linked around for our managerial role. I think Armstrong scored about 20 goals when they went unbeaten that season for Celtic. Mm-hmm. So I think he certainly needs a run on the side, and 2 goals at the moment has certainly helped his confidence. But I suppose we better turn our attention a little bit to the Carabao Cup, the EFL Cup, League Cup. Yeah, six changes to the squad on Tuesday night. 2 notable selections in Jan Valery, being promoted from the youth team, the under-23 setup, playing earlier on this week, later on last week, I think, with Jaidi. And Obafemi gets his first start in a red and white shirt.
Yeah, I mean, you look at we've talked about kind of the absence of a right back to kind of challenge Cedric. So I think Valery getting the opportunity, and judging from the way the lineup looks, it's going to be as a wing back, which I think will suit him well. I think that's good. That's what Cedric needs. He needs a little bit of somebody to push him, because right now he's perhaps a little bit too comfortable in his role as the only kind of right back. Because if you look at maybe whether it's Jan Bednarak or Jack Stevens, they're just not the same type of player. So to have Valery come in from the youth team, maybe that's a positive from Hughes to have two youth team players now taking part. And for Obafemi, this is his chance to kind of show what he's got, because he's been given kind of a couple of brief cameos. He did miss a couple opportunities against Fulham, and I think some people were upset about that. But the truth is he's not even 20 years old. He's on a big stage. He's coming in, putting himself about. And if I could just kind of capture how he handled that little run-in with the goalkeeper late on in the Fulham match, where he didn't back down and he didn't kind of explode. He just kind of held his nerve, allowed the referee to do what it does. I think it was unfair to get booked there, but all of that, I think, was what shows he's pretty mature, and he's ready to challenge for a spot in the team, and he's done that now.
Yeah, no, I hope that Cedric has finally had a wake-up call. He came out to the press after the Fulham match and said that he knew the Saints side would go on to lose. And, that really sort of summarises the mentality, the fragilities, like we said at the top of the show, the team at the moment. And I think, Cedric himself has been complacent because, like you say, there hasn't been any competition. So I suppose any positives to come from this selection, it should be a little bit of a wake-up call for Cedric.
Absolutely. And making a couple of changes won't change the mentality of the team. And if he feels comfortable enough to say that out loud, we can only kind of imagine what the dressing room or what the mood in the dressing room is like. And to be honest, I'm not sure a new manager changes that. I'm not sure a new director of football changes that or anything else. It's going to be tough to kind of to figure that out. And I don't have an answer for that, but I hope that maybe some of the teammates will have heard that and say, like, maybe that's not true and that's only him and he needs to kind of sort that out. But we'll see. And hopefully this will be the wake up call that he needs, because he can be in spurts. If you watch him for Portugal, and even in parts for us, he's been great going forward, but it's the defensive kind of frailty that, Sessegnon exploited there. On the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely highlighted at the weekend, turned inside out by Ryan Sessegnon, but somehow Cedric found himself high up the pitch with a little back heel to set up Stuart Armstrong's second goal. So he blows hot and cold at the moment, so it remains to be seen what happens with him. But I suppose our attention better look to Manchester United this weekend, after we can only assume that Obafemi and the team have gone through with flying colours, and Obafemi scored a hat-trick on Tuesday night, and we can bounce into Saturday with some positivity. But Man United, they come to town, and they're not the team they used to be.
No, I mean, they're sitting seventh in the table, I think. They have a negative goal difference. There's a lot of, it's a tumultuous time at Old Trafford, I would say. And a lot of people are tired of Mourinho. A lot of people are questioning kind of the decisions he's making. And you hear United fans talk that their team isn't much fun to watch. And you kind of hear them, and I can agree with them, because we've been through that with Saints over the past couple of seasons, where it's we've gone from a team that has been exciting and things like that to now us just kind of being one of those teams that just aren't that exciting, weren't creating chances the last couple of seasons and things like that. So it is going to be, it doesn't really promise to be a real thriller, I guess. United have shown the tendency to be able to come back from being down from a deficit. We've shown the ability to throw away a lead, so maybe that's in there somewhere, but you just have to hope that we can, like you said, pull something from this EFL Cup match and take it into the weekend. But I won't say that I'm super positive, or I'm not really anticipating that, I guess.
It sounds to me you're writing the script already for Saturday.
I don't want to, but if the Premier League would like to pay me to write the script, I have this one I could just copy from last week. So
well, hopefully it isn't copy and paste, and hopefully there is a twist in the tale. But we all need to get behind the team on Saturday, though, and perhaps Man United are perhaps fragile themselves at the moment. And what are we going for then as a score prediction, mate?
I can't say the Saints are going to lose, so I'm going to have to go 2-1 Saints. But I was just looking at some of the stuff, and I think at home it's been since like 2011 since we've gotten a result at home against them. So I'm not 100% positive, but I am going to go 2-1 Saints because I can't predict that we're going to lose. I just can't bring myself to do it.
All right, well, I think it will buy Mark you some time as well, and also go into Spurs on Wednesday night. And just tell everybody where we can find your 100th episode of the SFC Delivery Podcast.
Yeah, so 100th episode will be out in not this week after United, but after the Cardiff City trip, and it's available. You can follow me on Twitter. That's probably the easiest way to find it. It's at SFCDELL_IVERY. It's the same on Instagram, and the episodes come out every Tuesday. Bit of an issue this morning with Google Podcasts, but other than that, everything's going out there. So thanks for having me on, Freddie. I appreciate it.
All right, great stuff. And Matt, we'll catch up again soon, mate. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Hello, I'm Mark Goldbridge from the United Stand, Manchester United YouTube channel. Fantastic to be on Ugly Inside, giving my thoughts on Manchester United ahead of this game against Southampton. The sack race, as some are calling it, Mourinho versus Mark Hughes, Manchester United versus Southampton. I've been asked to answer a few questions in relation to it from a United perspective. So how bad has United's 2018 actually been? Well, taking the 2018 as a whole, so from probably, the start, January the 1st, because that's when a year normally starts, although football years are obviously September. I think it's a great question, because I think if you looked at United this season from August, we've been poor. But actually, most United fans would say we've been pretty poor since January, and it's just been a continuation. We weren't that bad last season up until around Christmas time, but then from January, like I say, to now, it's gone over 2 seasons. The summer transfer window was a bit of a waste of time, but generally we don't know our best 11, we don't know our philosophy. The football is drab, and when we win games, it tends to be grinding them out like it was against Young Boys. So yeah, by Manchester United standards, and I think you should always have levels to things. Cardiff City's level is to try and scam a stay in the Premier League, isn't it? To me, Southampton, probably a bit of a mid-table team, although not recently. And for Manchester United, they should be challenging for titles, and we are a long, long way off that. So yeah, relatively speaking, a very bad 2018 for Manchester United under Jose Mourinho. Next question, why have United's goals dried up? Manchester United no longer have the fear factor. I think Manchester United are a bit of a wounded animal anyway, and that was inevitable after Sir Alex Ferguson left. It's funny because you get into grooves of things, don't you? You know what dinners you like, you know what route you want to take to work. And as a Manchester United fan, you expect when Crystal Palace or Fulham or even Southampton come to Old Trafford, you expect that to be a 2 or 3-0 win, because that's what happened for over 20 years under Sir Alex Ferguson. Obviously that's changed, then that's a readjustment. But I think it's dropped off a cliff too much. I think clubs, probably thought, we've got a bit of a chance at Old Trafford now, Sir Alex Ferguson's there. But now, I think 6 years on, they think, well, we've got a real chance. They're genuinely not a good team. So the fear factor is definitely gone, and we've been masters of our own downfall in relation to that. With regards to goals drying up, I think that's a very different thing, although they're both intertwined. I think the goals have dried up because the football we play is so slow. It's pedestrian. We don't press the ball. We don't move the ball quickly. You've got someone like Matic and Fellaini in your midfield. These are players who want to take 2 or 3 touches before they play a 5-yard pass sideways. And football's very simple, isn't it? If you move the ball quickly from back to front, then you're going to cause people problems. I used to play as a centre-back myself, and the thing I didn't like was the quick ball. Because if you've got a quick striker and they hit a quick ball, you've not got time yourself. You haven't got time to set yourself. And if you're a football team and you're playing Manchester United, they're never going to move the ball quickly, so everyone can get back into place quickly, which makes you a better defensive unit. You look at Liverpool, you look at Man City, they move the ball quickly, they stretch teams, and that's why they score a lot of goals. What I would say about Manchester United and the goals drying up, that is why we're very, very pragmatic. And for an opposition, I think if you are a team that wants to give 100% and be tenacious, that can be the undoing of United at the moment. Next question. A lot of noise around the league and pressure on Mourinho to be sacked early this season. Has that subsided? I've always been Jose Mourinho in and doing the United Stand. I remember after the Sevilla game in the Champions League last March, around April time, people were getting very, very, very fed up with him, and a lot of people started to turn on Mourinho then. My stance was over the summer, let's just see, he's got to change his style of play. You can't be a Manchester United manager and park the bus. I really believed over the summer he would make changes to that. And it's not happened. And I think it was after the West Ham game, which is comforting for Southampton fans, because we went to West Ham expecting to win. We got played off the park and they beat us 3-1. So anybody can beat Manchester United, Brighton as well. And that was when I sort of became Mourinho out. There was a big push then around the Newcastle game that we thought he was going to be gone. Obviously, people like Gary Neville came out and defended him. The club stick by him. And I believe that the club are sticking by him now. But the reality is, I would say there is a good 70% of Manchester United fans who want him gone, maybe more. And I think a lot of that's just to do with the style of football. He's not a Manchester United manager. I've got a lot of respect for Jose Mourinho and his Wikipedia page of honours, but I do think it's a historical Wikipedia page now. I think football's moved on, and I don't think he's going to ever win a Premier League title with anybody again, unless football changes back to this pragmatic football that he's the master of. So no, I don't think it's subsided. I think there's a lot of United fans who would like him to go, and I think if he loses to Southampton tomorrow, I would be really thinking, why is he still here? Why is he still here? Defensive injuries and approach on Saturday. We do have injuries. Alexis Sanchez is another injury, which I think, for me personally, I know he's not set the world on fire, but he always gives a lot of effort. He is a good player, and I think we're weaker without him, despite him obviously not hitting the heights we hoped he was going to do. So I think Sanchez is a loss. Is a thinking person's loss, really. I would be much happier with Sanchez as part of the squad, even if he's coming off the bench, because Rashford and Martial can be a bit inconsistent. Who are you bringing off the bench if you haven't got Sanchez? Lindelof's a big loss. Lindelof's been, potentially a flop for United, but this season he's been played consistently, and I would applaud Mourinho there. I think he's got the wrong centre-back partnership, but at least he's played a centre-back partnership in Smalling and Lindelof. Lindelof injured now, probably till Christmas, and he's been absolutely fantastic this last few weeks. 2 games against Ronaldo, played really well as well. So he is a loss. Probably see Phil Jones coming in. He's always got a mistake in him, especially if he's wearing his pink boots. So, yeah, I mean, look, there are opportunities for Southampton there. I just think Southampton, like I would say about any opposition, if you take your chances against Manchester United, you can win games. But my warning would be, Brighton did it, West Ham did it, Bournemouth should have done it a few weeks ago. They had so many chances. Even Mourinho himself said we could have been 4-0 down at half-time. They didn't take the chances, and then we scraped the win at the end. So you've got to take your chances against Manchester United. You will get them. If you play in the right way, you've got to take your chances. Prediction-wise, I probably think that United will win, but it depends. I don't know enough about Southampton. If Southampton are up for it, they treat it like the cup final teams tend to do against Manchester United. I think you've got to be aggressive. You've got to move the ball quick, and you've got to swarm all over us, and our heads will drop if we go 1-0 down. That tends to what happened with United. And stay switched on to the end, because United always do tend to finish well. But I just think Mourinho, I said this yesterday on our show, he is like the manager who's always being pushed off the cliff, but he's clearly got an elastic band around his waist because he comes bouncing back with a smile. And I think that the game tomorrow, whenever he's on the edge of being sacked, he always pulls a result out. And I think tomorrow he will get that result, because if he was to lose tomorrow, I think, how do you stay in a job? So I think United will win it, or it'll be a draw. But I'm interested. I really do hope that Southampton played well tomorrow, because if we beat a team that plays well, then that's something for us to build on. What I don't really want us to do is win by grinding it out against a team that doesn't play very well and we're a little bit lucky again. I think that's tiresome. We need to see some good football. So I hope it's a good game. Saturday night, I hope it's a good game. Anyway, thanks for all that.
So once again, a massive thanks then to Matt Markstone from the SFC Delivery Podcast with a magnificent Mo. What a way to cap Movember. And be sure to head back in a week or so's time for his 100th episode. And what a dedication from Matt, waking up at 5 o'clock every match day and speaking to a fan every single week. So well done, mate, and keep it going. So here it is then, our competition, and here's how you can enter to win one of these limited edition Art of Football canvas of Matt Tissier striking against Manchester United nearly 22 years ago. Now, the game was 3-1 to Saints, and sometimes people get it mixed up with the 6-3, but it was 3-1. Now, to enter, all you have to do is tell me one of the goal scorers for Southampton. Let me know in the comments below. The voting will close, let's say, for the Tottenham match build-up show, and I'll reveal it, the winner, in that episode. So if you want to enter, do head over to our social pages to enter your name as well, and just tell me who scored in that match. So that wraps it up then for this week's episode. Do let me know how you think Saints are going to get on against Manchester United. I think it's overdue that we need to get some points from a top side. Can it happen this weekend? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you tomorrow.